Oop, a little charm fell out of my slime. A little llama, cute. I have been playing with cotton candy scented slime. My new obsession is slime. I've spent quite a bit of money. Not advised for a person who won't get a paycheck until January, but you know, like sometimes you just need what you need. I sometimes worry that in my own work, I've shared so much of, you know, the highlight reel, right? And not enough of the stuff that didn't work. So in no particular order, here are some of the things that I have worked on or attempted that did not work out. One, and this is in no order. One time in like 2010, I think, when I moved from New York City back to Minneapolis, I was getting into Tumblr. Tumblr was really picking up. You could see Tumblr users that were like in your area. So when I moved back to Minneapolis, I like looked up, oh, these Tumblr users are near me. And I reached out to a girl whose Tumblr I liked and said, do you want to be friends? And she emailed me back and said I would never be friends with someone from the internet. She said no. She said I would never be friends with someone from the internet. That makes me really uncomfortable. And I felt like a fucking pervert. I felt like such a loser for having reached out to her. I was so lonely. I'd moved back to a city where I'd never been an adult, only a child. And I basically had no friends who were not related to me. And she was like, no, thank you. Okay, I tried that. That didn't work out. Yikes. Did I make plenty of other internet friends, especially through Tumblr when I moved to Minneapolis? Yes, I did. I really did. So, you know, too bad for that girl. Couldn't remember her name now. Wherever she is, I do applaud her boundaries. That's great for her. But tried that. It didn't work out. Oh my God, after my husband died, I tried to go online and do online dating, but I didn't want to date. I just wanted to kiss somebody. I just wanted somebody to like, basically just like touch me, tell me I was pretty. Tell me I'm pretty. And like get my confidence up. Just let me feel something that was not abject sadness. And I made a profile that said, cool widow kind of wants to kiss someone, and I got 0 takers. None. Literally 0. No people wanted to kiss me, not even one. Not even one. Not one. One time I met a comedian that I really admired. She was really, really cool. She was standing in a group of people. I was sort of adjacent to it. And I thought I was making conversation. I just said like the dumbest thing. And she looked at me like I was a piece of absolute shit. And I replay that conversation attempt anytime I see her face, which is quite often because I still follow her on Instagram. So that's okay. You swing and you miss. In between the books that I have published, I have also pitched books that literally no one was interested in. Not a single soul. Worked on a book proposal, sent it to my agent, who sent it to editors, and rejection, or even worse, no response at all. Oh, I worked on an adaptation of one of my books for a TV show. It was going to become a comedy, and we wrote the pilot and they liked it, and then we rewrote it, and then it just like sort of died. It never got made. Guess why that's okay? Because that's really normal. That's really, really normal. Many times in TV and film, you'll work on an idea for a long time, and then it just like won't get made. And that's fine. I had to really recalibrate my idea of what success is based on that. And I also had the opportunity to work with a woman who I really super duper admire. And we got to work on a script together. And she told me, you know, like all this great advice, and she was so wonderful. And then the script actually didn't end up going anywhere. And then I just sort of like let my own insecurity get in the way. And I just like didn't really keep in touch with her because I didn't want to bother her. And I consider that like a big miss. Like I just didn't, I just didn't continue a relationship that was like meaningful to me because I didn't want to like bother her. And now too much time has passed, I think. And if I reached out and said that, it would be like, you're kind of strange. The very first book that I ever published, I was sent to like a very big publishing event. This is like, my book came out like right along when I think like Glennon Doyle's Love Warrior came out, and one of Lindy West's books. Like I walked into this huge event space, and they're like big banners of their books were hanging from the ceiling like Hogwarts houses. And I was like, oh my God, Nora McInerny, you have made it. Here you are. And I sat at a table to sign my books and not one single person showed up. Not one. Not one, not one, not one, not one. Nobody. I sat alone. Good, good, good. That's okay. Literally, that is okay. That is okay. Did it feel great at the time? No. First podcast event I ever went to, when I thought the podcast was going pretty well. Again, they set up a meet and greet with all these podcasters. I was between two comedy podcasts. Not one single person wanted to meet or greet me. Not one. Just sat alone at a table, and a bunch of comedians like really, really tried to be like, you're okay. You're okay. Who are you again? What do you do? What is it that you do? The point is that, wow, being a person is really difficult. The only way that we get through life and get anything that feels good to us, there are very few things that are just sort of handed to us. Maybe we're lucky enough to be born into a family where everyone loves each other and you don't have to, work to stay connected to the people that you share DNA with. Maybe we're lucky enough, like I was, honestly, it's like pretty dumb, to like fall in love twice with like very, very minimal effort, like with those relationships. Although I will say that the relationships leading up to those were max effort, no reward. Maybe you were lucky enough to find and fall into a career that you love with literally no effort, no struggle, no setback whatsoever. But most of us, I would say for the vast majority of us, life is a huge series of trials and errors. The point of the question that this person asked me, the entire question this person asked me, is how to go on from here. How to go on from here. And I think the first thing is sit here for a minute. Okay, sit here for a minute, or honestly, however long you want to, not to beat yourself up, not to berate yourself, but to give yourself, your past self and your current self, a little bit of credit and a little bit of grace. That does not come naturally to me. I was on a phone call this morning with a person on my team, and I was like, God, I don't have this done. I don't have this done. I'm sorry because you're working with me and I don't know this and I don't know that. And she said, do you think that you could give yourself a little bit of grace? And I said, what? Why would I do that? And she said, you've been making this show independently for what? A couple weeks now? And I was like, right. So I should know everything. Like when you say it out loud, it's like, oh. And when you sit with yourself and say like, okay, look at us, buddy. We tried something. Didn't work out the way we thought it would. Okay, how cool of us. How cool of us that we tried it. We don't have to wonder. We will not be laying on our deathbed wondering, oh, if only I'd reached out to that stranger on Tumblr and asked if she wanted to be my friend. No, I know she did not want to be my friend. And that's okay. We don't have to extrapolate. We don't have to try to assign meaning to it. We can just say, we can look at that situation and say, what information did I get from it? And then maybe that will inform how you go on from there. But can I say, you are allowed, when you are ready, and maybe you are right in a second, you're allowed to just go. You're allowed to just go. You do not need to hang this around your neck. It does not need to be an albatross. It does not need to be a scarlet letter. You do not need to constantly refer to it. It can become a faded memory that you try to recall many years later on a podcast when you realize, you know what? I think it might be helpful for someone else to know that not everything that I've ever done has been a smashing success. And in fact, a lot of my early writing was unreadable. And I know that it was unreadable because nobody read it. Not a single soul read it. And it was available for anybody to read. And people were like, a new thank you. So you are allowed to go on. You do not need to sit in it. You do not need to assign more meaning to it. You do not need to try to make up a story around it. You can simply say, I tried this thing, which is the first part of this message is I followed my heart. Good job. And I did this daring thing. Wow, you did that. And it totally failed. Okay. Okay. One, Most people never follow their hearts. Most people never ever get the chance to do something very, very daring. I don't know what you failed at, but my hope is that the stakes were low enough that your life is not completely destroyed from this. The way you used to go on when you were a little kid, when you were a baby. I was thinking about this the other day about how we had to learn literally everything. We have had to learn literally everything we know right now. Everything you know how to do right now, you had to learn. Someone had to teach you, or you had to figure it out on your own. You had to stand up, try to get your brain to tell your feet how to move, balance yourself, and take some steps. And the first couple times you did it, you sucked. You fell on your butt, on your face. The adults around you were like, oh, or maybe they cushioned the blow, or maybe they refused to let you fall, even though that's how babies learn. They need to learn how to balance by also learning what it feels like to lose that balance. We spend so much of our lives acquiring information and learning, and even learning how to learn. And then we become grown-ups and we think about ourselves, oh, I should know that. I should know everything right now, right? And of course we shouldn't. Of course we are still in a phase where we are acquiring information, where we are learning, where we are, hopefully still growing. And I don't mean that in like the toxic, kind of like, yeah, be more productive. Every day you should be learning, 6 new languages. I am still on level 2 of Duolingo. It has been 4 years. It's been 4 years. That part of my brain might be calcified, but that does not mean I will not keep trying. But I mean, allowing ourselves to try things, allowing ourselves to do things that may or may not work out. What made you decide to go independent? This is a big question, so we'll see how long I can speak extemporaneously about it. But when I started this podcast, it was 2015 when I started working on it. It was, I'd started working on it just a few months after, maybe even before my book actually came out. I'd been, toying with the idea, like turning it over in my mind, figuring out the format, that kind of stuff for a while. I didn't know anything, and I especially did not know what I didn't know, which no doy, that's life, that's all of us. But I didn't know in 2015 what it meant to own your work. And I'm not alone in that, right? Look at Taylor Swift. I would describe myself as Taylor Swift circa 2007. Sure, she was a teenage girl when she, signed her deals, but I was a widowed mother of one who had only ever worked in ad agencies, had never, produced any original work, didn't really know what it could possibly be worth, and was working with a venerable nonprofit media institution. And I think I just assumed that nonprofit meant that things were worthless, I guess. Podcasting is also a really strange career. And I will say that the industry has changed a lot since I started. And there are a lot of different ways to do things right now that, I couldn't have even been aware of in 2015 because they didn't exist. And I don't know, you just kind of do what you do when you do it. When you don't have all of the information that you need, it can be really, really hard to make the right decisions for yourself, for a show, for your work. And I don't know, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not saying it's any, one person's fault, but I will say that more information is always better, and having more control over your work and the value of your work is important. It's not important to everybody. I think if I was making a show that was just something silly, something that wasn't so tied to my own suffering and the suffering of our guests who trust us with it, maybe I would have felt differently. Maybe I would have even just, gone with another like large network. But there's something that is so personal about this work on this show that I needed to own it personally. At one point, sort of early in my career, in my audio career, when I was so excited and I was just like brimming with ideas and what I wanted this show to be and how I wanted to do it, somebody stopped me in a meeting and said, you know that line, I think it's from Batman, what happens when an immovable force meets an unstoppable object? And I was like, Nora, that's what's happening right now. I did meet with a lot of wonderful, awesome, incredible, respectable networks about terrible things for asking. Ultimately, there was just something inside of me that knew that this had to stay independent. I might feel differently about other ideas and other things that I'm working at, but this is how it's got to be. This is how it's got to be. I don't care somehow, even though I just told you I've been like clenching my jaw. I was about to say, like, but I'm not really stressed about it. Like, you just told people that like your jaw muscles could like, you know, grind your teeth into oblivion. So maybe rethink that, Nora. I sometimes don't. I think the stress is not registering in my conscious mind, but I do think my subconscious realizes like, oh, you know, like this is a really big deal. This is something that you've wanted for, I'd say at least since 2017. And now it's finally here, and what are you gonna do? So it just brings me right back to our first topic today and that first question, which is like, I am doing what that question asker did, and I am following my heart, and I am taking a huge risk. And you know what? If it fails, where will we go from here? I don't know, but I know that we'll figure it out together. And that really does mean a lot to me. So thank you for being here. This is TTFA Premium. I literally couldn't do this job without you. And even though I've like technically left public media, I have to say that I think this is also a version of public media. I am not a, you know, nonprofit. Although, like, what does that even like mean? I'm not a nonprofit, but I do think that this, you know, media and certain kinds of media, certainly podcasting, has always relied on listener support. That's the way that things get made and good things get made. And I do feel very lucky to not just have people who listen to the podcast, although plenty of people just listen casually, and that's wonderful, but to have it feel like a real community. And that is one reason why I am so excited to get out of this house and get on several airplanes and wear my mask and hold my breath for 2 or 3 hours, however long a plane ride is, and then get into a theater and respirate with all of you, because I'm so excited to see you. I am so excited to see you and be in your presence. So, but in the meantime, this is the next best thing. I've also been thinking about figuring out how to do like a live conversation episode where like you could call and we could talk through something, like not necessarily like advice. Like, I don't think you should take advice from anyone, let alone me, but like, you know, having like an episode where, or like a premium episode or access for premium listeners where like you could call and we could talk, because I do think that yields such fruitful, I don't know what fruitful fruits, the most fruitful of fruits. Anyways, thank you. This is it. I gotta wrap this up. You're done. I'm done. We're done. Thank you for being a part of TTFA Premium. I appreciate you so much. All right, that's it. This is how you wrap up an episode, baby. That's how you do it. That's how you do it.